Oops, no, I don't. Oh, that's fine, I guess. Okay. So we're recording. Welcome to the team call. It's the first team call of August. Happy August. What the F, it's August, so it's crazy. I know y'all's kids are going back to school, which you guys are probably super stoked about. And it's also probably really crazy. And, you know, this is a really great time, though, to help people. You know, like kids are going back to school. It's crazy, but it's a great time for moms to relate to fellow moms. I'm not quite there yet, so I don't get it, but that's a really great spot for you guys to be, for the mamas to be out there. Okay, so let's give a big warm welcome to the 4 new coaches this week. We have Kelly Eubanks, Tina Lee, Paige Morgan, and Ray Roth. Welcome to the team, you guys. Make sure you're setting up a GSR call with your coach, which is the acronym for Getting Started Right. They're going to help you with goal setting, with answering questions, getting you started on the right foot. But first things first, you need to be following your program. Okay, so far we're 7 days in, and we have a couple coaches with points on the board. We have Rachel Alba with 4 points. She's been crushing it. I don't know if you guys saw her video in the team page last week or the week before. She did a video live about how she's crushing it with the promo codes. And she crushed it last month, and she's gunning for Diamond. She's on fire. And so if you haven't seen her live video yet in the team page, I would definitely go seek that out. It's an easy way to find stuff in there is to like use a little search bar and just type like what you're looking for. And if you're not sure what she called the video, or maybe she didn't label it, you can just search for her name and it'll pull up post by her. So I would definitely look for that. And then with 2 points on the board, we have Lexi Cook, Chris Barra, Jennifer Bush, Katie Johns, and Cameron Zimick. Hey Jen, what are you doing? Just running through some recognition.
Hi.
Hi, Frankie. You taking a bath? So cute. Okay, so I'm just gonna mute you for so a 700 point or 700 PB, Katie Johns, who's always crushing it in the PB department. I want her to do a video or maybe a call on this, but she has tons of like reoccurring orders and customers that are always ordering. So that's why that's one of the things that contributes to her PB, which is super awesome. She has a high retention rate. So I'm going to ask her to do a video on that. 300 PB is Jennifer Bush with 338. 200 PB is Corey, Ray, and Tina. I totally forgot to put myself on here. I have no idea where I'm at right now. But way to go, you guys. Quick reminder, and I'm going to have this up every single week because I want it to be in the forefront of our brain. We have the team-wide Set Your Soul on Fire Utah retreat, which is our upline. Everybody on the entire team is able to qualify for this retreat. You just have to be a diamond on December 5th and be an active diamond coach on December 5th or above. And the retreat will be held in February. More details of the nitty-gritty information coming, but this is the like mansion kind of like resort spot they were looking at. So I know we did a whole team call on this, so if you want, you can go look at the recordings. But you guys, like, I want us to roll deep up in that. Like, our team rolling deep in that retreat and being super proud of what we've accomplished this year. It's freaking time. Reminder about Success Club. When these are the gifts that you get from Beachbody throughout the year as you achieve Success Club. So if you're like your first month in Success Club this year, you get a tank or a t-shirt. Your third month and this is consecutive. So once you hit it, let's say you get it 1 month and miss it another month, but then get 3 months in a row, you can qualify for the 3-month one. So it doesn't have to be all consecutive, but it's just like, if you get 3 in a row, 6 in a row, 9 in a row, 12 in a row, that's what this represents. So you get the Beachbody Monopoly game. 6 months in a row, you get the backpack. 9 months in a row, you get a sweatshirt, and 12 months, you get the roller bag suitcase. And I went over this last time, but I basically just, I just talked about that. I was actually going to delete that. My bad. Okay, so I wanted to talk about fear, and I'm going to stop sharing just so I can see you guys and we can see each other. Hi. So I don't know if you guys have been following my Instagram, but I started playing guitar. Well, I mean, I'm kind of playing. I don't know. I'm like practicing. But whenever I try something new or like do something outside of myself that's fearful or that makes me scared or challenges me in a different way, it reminds me of all the ways that this business has like changed my life. For some reason, it just like sparks this insane like motivation in me. And so like I relate real life to coaching all the time. And I've been thinking about like learning how to play guitar, for example. There's a lot of fear around it. And I've been getting a lot of DMs like, because I've been showing like the beginning stages and how bad I suck. But that's fine, because when you've never done anything before, you're going to suck. And someone was like, yeah, I want to play, but I'm scared I'm going to suck. And I was like, you are going to suck. Like, you're totally going to suck at this. And so like, that goes with this business, like, or anything, like you're starting out, you're going to suck. In one way or another. Like we all have our natural tendencies for certain things. Like some of us are photographers, some of us have an eye for things, some of us are already super confident, some of us are already great leaders, some of us have experience leading a team. So it depends. Like we all come in this at a different place, but there's going to be things that we're like, that we have to overcome a fear about. And I don't know if you saw today, I did this whole series about like where like my coaching journey. I went like all the way back to my Instagram from the beginning. And I thought it was really cool to share that, because so many people come to my page now and think like, oh, she's always been like this. Or like somebody asked me if I work. I was like, oh shit, like that's weird. Like, yes, I work. And so it got me going on this whole thing about coaching and overcoming fear throughout this entire process. Like I remember signing up as a coach and not knowing anything about Beachbody, because I'd never done a program before. I'd never like, I was super shy. I never led a team before. I never played sports. I never worked in a team setting. Like there was so many different things and aspects about this business that I just was like completely 1000% out of my element. And hey, I hope she signs up.
I know, right? I know. I was like, oh my God, oh, I think I'm just going to stay on this call so I can see if she's going to sign up. So I don't know. We will see.
Yeah.
Time's up.
So I'm talking about fear, and because I was reminded like through my coaching journey I shared on my stories today, and like through learning how to play an instrument and just like trying something completely new, all these things come up and fears pop in your head. And I remember like signing up as a new coach and like being super excited and seeing the potential and seeing the opportunity and being so freaking stoked about this whole thing, you know, like the fitness journey, being able to help people and actually feel like I'm being of service, like I'm actually helping someone, or like being able to fire my boss one day and like owning my time. And I was a full-time student, full-time waitress, and these were just all ideas, you know, and all like things I saw other people do. And I thought it was really cool. And I was like really excited about it. But then the action, but then you got to like get out of the clouds and into the action of it all. And that's when like the fear comes in, and that's when you know, for me, I started to think of all the things other people might be thinking about what I'm doing, or other judgments, or like putting words in people's mouth, you know, assuming that they're not going to want to do this because they have a great job, or assuming that they're not going to want to do this because they're a personal trainer, or assuming they don't need to get fit because they already work out. And just like all these assumptions about things, and all the fear and judgment of what you assume someone's going to do. So I wanted to share, like, from my experience, the most important part is that moment right there. And this moment will happen throughout your journey, right? Like, it happens as a new coach. And whatever that is for you, like for me, it was talking to people and just like having fear around what other people are going to think of me and stuff like that. And leadership, doing videos, just the whole thing. I was scared of a lot of stuff. And what got me past the fear, and so like, you have this moment, right? This defining moment. You can either quit. Let's say, because for me, I had someone literally say to me, because I was following up with her, it was a friend, or like an old kind of friend, and she just had a baby, and I knew she wanted to lose weight. We used to work out together, and I was like, you would totally love this, you know? And I kept following up with her, and she straight up told me, like, all I wanted to do was take her money. And it really made me like question my motives. And I was like shocked. It broke my soul into pieces, because I'm here on this pink cloud, you know, of like, this is amazing. We're going to change so many lives. We're going to make an impact. And then someone's like, whoosh, crashing, like my whole world crumbles around me. And I'm like, what? Like, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, yeah, I wanted to leave my job, but I was thinking about the opportunity and how excited I was about how it can help someone. And someone said that to me, and it broke me into pieces. But the reason I didn't quit, because I totally could have been like, oh my God, this is what everyone thinks about me. Everyone thinks I'm a spammy scammer, you know, pyramid schemer, you know, like I totally could have gone that way and gotten my head about it all and let it take me out the game. But instead, because there's that defining moment, I could have gone that way, or I could have kept going. And I decided to keep going. What gave me the strength to keep going was, so I had to ask myself some questions. So like, what are my motives for real? Like, am I a scammerson? Am I a gross person who only wants to take everyone's money? Am I a part of a pyramid scheme? Am I doing evil things? Am I hurting people? You know, like, I had to really ask myself those questions, and the answer is no. And then I was like, then I had to look at my I had to look at my own experience. So what was my experience in this? Well, it helped me start dreaming again. I was getting results physically within the first week and was feeling super on fire. And as somebody who was already on their fitness journey for so long, like, I wasn't inspired anymore. And you guys are cracking me up. I wasn't inspired anymore about my own journey, because it was selfish in a way. It was kind of selfish in a way, because it was just like on my own vanity. But now I was on my journey for my wellness for real this time, and then to show people what's possible. I was doing it to pay it forward. You know, it gave me a bigger purpose. And I started to see the team environment. I'm like, okay, well, what's my experience with the team environment? And I'm like, well, I'm learning how to grow. I'm overcoming fears. I'm moving in towards the direction that I want to take my life. And I started looking at success stories. And I'm like, well, these people had success, and that person had success, and that person, and this person, and da 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 da. And I was like obsessed with watching success stories. And that's like, sorry, Jen. Teeth brushing time. That movement looks a lot different these days. Oh, that's funny. Yes, I love it. But yeah, so, you know, that's what kept me going. And throughout the years, and even now, like, there's still fears that pop in my head. And I'm just like, well, what's my motives? What's real life, you know? And yeah, and I just wanted to open it up to see if you guys wanted to share any ways that you've overcome some fears with this, and or if you have fears that you're struggling with that maybe we could help you work through too, and make this a little interactive.
I know that when I first was like inviting, I would assume people are going to say no before they even do. And I would just be like, I'm sending out invites, but this person's going to say no. So this person is going to have some objection. I would not respond to people regardless if their response was good or bad, because I didn't want to say the wrong thing that was going to make them then say no. So then I would just like let people hang out. I would like be doing all the invites and doing all the following up, but then like I would be really afraid to actually talk to them about what we need to talk about their wellness journey, about what is working for them, what is not working for them, because I was so afraid that like, number one, they were then whatever I said was going to be this big deciding factor of like, then that's what's going to make them then say no, or I would project that they were going to say no. And that's another thing that I have learned is that like when you are putting energy into your invites, like that energy is being transferred, even though it's going through the internet, even though it's just like you typing out on your phone or on your computer, whatever. Like if you're putting that energy that they're going to say no, they're going to say no. They're going to like feel the weird energy that you are portraying. So you put energy into like, yes, this is awesome. They're going to say yes. They're going to love it. They're going to ask me about this. They're like, get it all amped up. And like invites is not the most exciting thing to do, right? It is like literally the grunt work that we all want to avoid, but it is literally like the building blocks of our business. So trying to get out of that fear mindset, and also just like not being afraid of being a pushy person. Like people literally just don't respond to messages, and like you can keep asking, keep following up with them. The girl I just got off a coach call with, I've literally been talking to her for like 9 months, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so busy, I feel so bad that we've been talking so long about this. And I was like, don't feel bad. I literally talked to my coach Amanda for a year and a half, so it's fine. But I won't keep rambling. I'll give the floor to someone else. So
I'll say that when I started, and I still have this fear come up, and it's that I don't feel qualified to do it. Like whether it's, I don't know, like in a lot of things in my life in general, but this especially, I noticed that it came up when I was a new coach, as I felt like I wasn't qualified. I wasn't doing the programs long enough. I had never coached somebody in this realm before. And so I was making up all of these like limiting beliefs in my head, thinking that like, why would somebody trust me, you know, with their journey? And I think it's the same thing. It's kind of the energy that you put out. So by me thinking I wasn't qualified, I was sending that out, that energy with my invites. And so I wasn't confident enough to tell people like why I'm qualified and like my own experience. And I think we forget that our own experience qualifies us for a lot more than we actually think. We don't have to have a degree in, you know, in a specific field. We don't have to, you know, read all these books and things. Like we have our own stories, and that's if we lead with our stories, we're more than qualified to work with people. And so I remind myself of that all the time, and my coaches, because it still pops up once in a while.
I have a thing. So I don't know a lot of people on here, which is really funny because I've been part of Amanda's team for 4 years. So I've been coaching since 2015, and I was pretty much kicking ass for a real long time. And then I got pregnant, and life happened, and postpartum happened, and now my baby's 2. And I'm finding myself in a place. Yep, that's you.
My birthday, take me, Winky. My birthday.
He ate his birthday cake in May because that's when his birthday was. So anyway, I've been really busy like momming and neglecting myself, and finally decided like what
Baby Shark
you can watch Baby Shark on your tablet tomorrow. So we my girls were asking, this is where my fear comes in. I will stay on topic because that's something I'm not good at. I had one of my girls that's been with me for 3 years leave my team because I was not I was active in my challenge group, but I wasn't really doing it. I wasn't doing a program. I wasn't staying on a meal plan. So like, I don't fucking blame her for leaving my team because I was not coaching her. I was not there for her. I was not providing a good example for her. And she left and she's like, I'm really sorry. It breaks my heart to do this, but like, I need something more. And that was like my kick in the butt that I need to put on Dino Dana for him or else this is not going to work. And see, this is the other reason why I don't get to make team calls because it's bedtime. But anyway, when Jess left, that kind of like really kicked my ass into gear because I realized that all of my girls could do that and I wouldn't be able to blame them to do it. And like my second coach did the same thing, and I was so mad at her and like made a really big deal about her stepping back because I was like, how dare she abandon me? And I did it to my whole team, and it was a very sobering, humbling time. So when I saw that she was like, are we doing an morning meltdown 100 blah blah blah, and I was like, I don't even really know what it is. I didn't even know what the program was. And that was like a moment that I said, okay, pull it together and do something for yourself and be the person that you used to be for your team. Nice to meet you. Frank says it's nice to meet you. So anyway, I didn't have any money in my bank account, but I did it anyway. And I bought the early access and I started it, and I'm 10 days in, and my paycheck tripled in a week of me doing my my own thing. And it's bigger this week than it was last week, and bigger than the week than that before that. And I actually made more this month than I did in like several months combined, which is really cool. And Team Cycle bonuses are happening again. Those weren't a thing. So it's I didn't have to ask my husband to help me pay my bills this month, and that was kind of a big deal for me. So my fear was restarting and recommitting because I fell off. So like, who's going to trust me? I haven't been doing anything for 2 years. Why would anybody do anything with me again? And I have people who've been following me for a really long time who were like, oh my God, thank goodness you're finally back. I missed you. And I was like, oh, you did? Okay. They're like, yeah, I needed you to come back. And I was like, bro, I needed to come back too. So I'm back. I don't know how often I'll be able to do this because my 2-year-old is freaking insane. And then I have a preteen who's so much fun. So I don't really have much like team time, which really sucks because that's what I need. But anyway, so hi, I'm Jen. I've been here for a long time. I'm coming back. And that's all.
Yay.
I'll go next. So my whole fear before was inviting people and actually like chatting with people. And when we were on I think it was our retreat, I was talking to like Rachel and Lexi about like, you just have to talk to people like you're having a normal conversation. And honestly, it's so true. Like I found just like being yourself and also like being vulnerable, like not just like with the person that you're chatting with intimately, but like on your Instagram and like sharing your story and like your struggles. Like I just sent like a random invite the other day, and the girl responded with like, didn't even answer my question. It was like, oh my God, I didn't know you had PCOS. And the only way she knew that is by like looking at my page. And so like by already being vulnerable and like putting yourself out there, it's going to build that trust with people. So when you do invite them, they're going to be able to go see that you're exposing yourself on Instagram, and they're going to you're going to build that relationship through social media without even having to talk to them. And then they also trust you because then you're like sharing your story, just like Lexi was saying, like, yeah, we may not know all the things, but you know the things that actually like worked for you. And that's valuable to people that can relate to you. And not everyone's going to relate to you, but people who are following you are obviously watching you for a reason. So when you do share your vulnerability, like you build that trust basically. So that's what I have to share.
Thank you. Man, you guys, I was thinking, I think a lot of fear comes from thinking that we have to be perfect or like be this like coach. And I think we don't realize how much influence we actually have. And what I always think about is when we were in Chicago, Lexi, we were sitting at brunch and someone in the kitchen started singing Feliz Navidad. Like for 1 second. It didn't even take one. It was like, Feliz Navidad. And like, that was it. And like the song was stuck in our heads for like a really long time. And I'm like, wow, that person legit had influence over us. Like one person from far away across the restaurant had influence over us. And like, we have so much influence over people that we don't even realize, or, you know, I think we don't realize the magnitude of how far our influence travels. And like, I wonder who else in the restaurant heard that and was like stuck in their head. And this person probably, who knows, they're probably not a coach. They're probably not out there intentionally trying to influence people, but we are. And I'm not saying intentionally try to influence people to like do what we want them to do, like little puppets. I mean, like, you know, have a positive impact on people. And, you know, you're having an impact on someone if you have, put the voodoo on them. If you have like even 100 followers, 50 followers, 10 followers, that is 10 people who are watching you. That's power. That's something. And you have something to say. And more, like, we as Beachbody coaches, like part one, we have our life experiences, which are so powerful. And I think we as humans should be sharing that no matter what. Like, I think that's part of what we're here to do, is to share our stories, because that's what helps people. Like, we're here to tell stories, to share our lives through stories. And that's what we do as coaches. Like, that's what we've been doing since we were tribal people, you know, like we've been telling stories. That's what the lessons are. Like, if you ever read the Bible, like the lessons come through stories. Everything, if Native American, it's all through stories. Like, everything is through stories. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to be some perfect like coach person. We're here to share our stories as humans. And part two is we have tools to help people. Like, through Beachbody, we have these tools that are so easy to plug into. And if you're a brand new coach, like, you don't have to create your own group. You don't have to create your own trainings. You don't have to create your own fitness programs, meal plans, like compensation plan or anything. Like, you just plug people in. You don't have to create your own welcome email. Go on the team page. There's a welcome email you can use. Like, you can literally take everything, every single thing you ever needed was already created for you, and you just plug people in. And then as you grow and move along through this journey, like, you can adjust it and make it better. Yep, tweak in time, exactly. And as things come up, you're like, oh, I can adjust this. Like, as things come up, then you're like enlightened in some way. And you're like, oh, I can make this better by doing this. And so, like, we have massive influence, and it's like, I feel like it's our duty to give people value, you know? Like, there's people with accounts that are like, however, thousands or millions of followers, like influencers, who literally just sell whatever it is that someone pays them to sell something, you know? Like, it's not even, they don't even believe in it. They don't even really use it. They don't even care. Like, it's an ad. They're using their influence to sell someone else's shit just because they pay them to do it. And here we have a real opportunity to use something to provide people something we actually use and actually care about, and to do that in a way where we're sharing it through our story. And I think that's really unique and powerful. Whereas someone could just be like, I tried this face cream, #ad, buy it in the link in my bio, you know? And like people will buy it because they like that person. But they're not really providing tools that can change their life. And we aren't here just to like show off. We're here to give value and give someone an opportunity that can be massive for them. So I think whenever you have those fears, remember like your own journey, like your own like coming of coaching, you know, like how this happened for you and how like what inspired you to maybe overcome fears to become a coach in the first place or to start this journey in the first place. And remember that someone can look like really cool and educated and like fit already, but maybe they're drowning in debt. Maybe they're unfulfilled. Maybe they need something else, you know? So just, you never know what someone's going through on the other side of their like perfect social media. So never hold back because of what you think, you know, whatever it is you might be thinking that they're thinking, because this could change their life. So yeah, does anyone have anything else to say or any questions or fears? Oh wait, Pixie, you had something. What was it?
So I have like a weird fear of losing. I have over 1,000 followers from my career that I've worked really hard at as a yoga instructor and a yoga influencer. So I have like this internal fear of people getting turned off on following me because for the last, she's 12, so however long Instagram's been around, people have been following me and for my yoga stuff. And I'm still, I mean, I still am a yoga teacher. I'm still majorly influencer in my community, and that is my life. But I'm even noticing, I think sometimes people are like, well, do you still do yoga? And I do yoga every day. Like, it's what pays the bills and it's what my life is. And so there's this fear. I still share everything, but there's this fear that like, as I kind of invite people, because I'm also inviting people to learn how to be a yoga teacher with me, or I'm inviting people to spend 8 weeks with me doing some other sacred living yoga stuff. And then they're like, well, wait a sec. How is it that you're telling me I need to go like pump some weights and buy your shape? And though that's not what I say, the fear is that someone's going to be like, where are you coming from? Even though I'm clear on where I'm coming from, if you follow me, there's still this weird fear of it. And it doesn't stop me from sharing. It just stops me from inviting, probably more than I could be.
Why don't you go watch Rafi, and then we'll have.
Yes, my kids are 12 and 2.
That's crazy.
It's really crazy. Anyway, but yes, that's what I feel coming up really regularly right now with the avoidance of what I should be doing, and then the fear is really there.
Scream right here.
Thank you.
So Jen suggests to look at Meredith, and I know we've talked about that before.
But Meredith doesn't even teach yoga anymore.
No, she doesn't. She was.
Because I've talked to her one-on-one. She doesn't even teach yoga anymore. And that's not an option for me.
No, but she was in the beginning. Yeah, Rachel, do you have anything? Because I know you kind of had a similar.
Well, yeah, so I still teach yoga, and I think that yoga, I'm always going to want to teach, because that's like, I went through a weird phase where I thought maybe I wasn't going to want to teach for a while, because sometimes I put this stress on me of being like a personal trainer and a yoga teacher and a coach, and like, can I do all three? And I'm like, well, Beyonce can be Beyonce. So like, I can do all of those things, right? And I think that this fear, I know what you're talking about, because like, as a yoga teacher, I think that people who do yoga, especially like specifically yoga, as much as they can be in the realm of like non-judgment, right? They can be kind of some of the most judgmental people. And I would come back to like what your intention is behind it. And if like someone has a problem with you being a yoga teacher and then also suggesting that someone needs strength training, like, there's a lot of people that like yoga is not good for them because they don't have the musculature to back it up, right?
Right.
Like that's how injuries happen in yoga.
Mhm.
And there's a study I just wrote the other day, or I just wrote it. I just read it. I read it. I didn't write it. I didn't write it. I read it the other day. And it was talking about how like the influx of yoga in the Western culture has actually injured so many people because so many people are getting into it and they do so much and they like don't have the strength and stuff to do it by doing other muscle building movements in order to sustain a yoga practice long term. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that like if people are going to judge you for you actively doing something other than yoga, then I like really want them to follow you know what I mean? And like so it's hard for somebody to sit on the other side of the screen and tell you like, hey, that's like, you know, here's how you get out of that mindset. But it's really coming back down to like, if someone is genuinely like following you for yoga and they have a problem with you like expanding into the new person that you know, that you're building onto your resume, that like you're saying you're always going to want to teach yoga. That's amazing. This doesn't have to be your full-time thing, but it can be supplemental. Like yoga is probably never going to be able to help you build a business on the scale that is the potential of that. My teacher in teacher training literally told me on our second to last week of our 10 program that I'm not going to make any money doing yoga and that we all should hopefully have a partner that was going to support us, because if we want to do yoga full time, we're not going to be able to make money. Like you can't just do something for the passion of it and expect it to pay your bills. You know what I mean? So like if people that are following you for yoga have a problem with you reaching out to them, like I would say fuck them. Like for real, you know. And it's hard, and like I said, it's hard for me to sit here and just say that to you, but like that is, you know, I struggle with this as well, as like what am I going to be? And I'm like, I don't have to choose. I can post a yoga pose one day and then the next day I can post a workout, because I think that they're equally beneficial, and I think that everybody should have both in their life, you know. So, you know, I guess, have you ever had anybody like outwardly like
not via the social media. I've been teaching for 20 years and I am a master teacher in the community. And so I have had people sort of question. The positive is that I was debilitated from an injury for quite a number of years. So what most people are saying is, how come you can do yoga again? And it's from my workouts. But I still see, again, it's usually the people who are saturated with the little blinders. And it's not, maybe it's not even truth. It's just a fear that comes up in me, whether it's truth or not, of keeping me from more invites, because that's where I'm like totally dead.
So I would say, think about, like I was saying before, but think about your own experience, right? Like how, like it's helped you. I would make a list of all the ways that it's helped you. And also think about how yoga helped you too, because you don't want to eliminate that, and you never ever have to. I mean, there's coaches who are like multiple six-figure earners who still have their career because they love it. Like you don't have to be a full-time Beachbody coach, you know? But you love this for other reasons. And so I would make a list of that, so you can always remember, like when that fear comes up in you, like remember your intentions and where you're coming from. Like sometimes you have to remind yourself of who you are, you know? And so I would do that. And then, you know, also remember you're not trying to force anyone into either or all of those things.
Right.
Because yoga teacher training might be the right thing for someone. Maybe a different person would want to be a Beachbody coach, or maybe somebody wants to do both. You know, like you have a multifaceted career. You're an entrepreneur, and you have different places where people can fit in. And just like with coaching and having all these different fitness programs and nutrition programs, like it's different strokes for different folks. Like someone might want to do you know, like size and like dance, you know, or
Right.
someone might want to do like morning meltdown. You just never know what someone's needs are, and you have that awesome power and ability to help someone in any of those ways. So I think you're adding more value by having that being open about, you know, being a coach and like what that opportunity provides for people.
I'll also say that like integrating other things within Beachbody can be a very powerful tool, because I think people like they'll follow our story and they're really interested in the workouts and stuff, but the reason they sign up with you is because they're drawn to you, not Beachbody by itself, you know? So like I've been trying to incorporate different things within my business, and I like Rachel and I have done a lot of more like mindfulness and like mindset work with our customers. And like that's something extra away from, you know, just Beachbody that we can offer. So I think like anything, like I was a dance teacher for years and years, and like I can incorporate like my love for music and dance within like with my customers. And I think it just adds another level of, you know, that like qualification kind of thing. Like you can think of it as you have that extra piece that someone's like, oh, like she's a yoga teacher. Like I really love yoga. How can I do both? And like you're a perfect example of that. So
I have a question. Sorry, I was late. Number one, I have no excuse except for I got caught up looking at photos on my phone. And I ran back upstairs. But my question is, every time you go to do invites, because this is something I get fearful of sending invites sometimes, but it has nothing to do with the reasons I'm telling myself that it has to do with, because I'm unsure of all the things I want to do. I'm someone sometimes who wants to do a million different things. I don't ever want to be confined to being one person. You know, I don't want to be confined to being one thing. So I use the cop out of, if I go sit down to write a message, I'm like, I don't want to sound like every other fucking Beachbody coach messaging people. So I just don't do it. Right. But are you more worried about sitting down and doing the invite, or that someone's going to think that you're not honest about your yoga? Or I believe that you were originally saying that you felt inauthentic towards or people were picking up the wrong vibes or thinking that you were preaching one thing and then doing a different. Am I correct? And what the original question was?
Relatively, yeah.
Okay. So for me, it usually comes back to myself and like how I'm feeling lost and feeling like I have to be one way. But kind of how Lexi was saying, when you learn to connect, you're not just trying to help people who like yoga. You're here to help human beings, right? We're all here because we want to help everyone be able to find what works for them. That's our job. Our job is to just talk to people and figure out what is it that you want? What is it that I can help you with? Not like who you are. Who you are shouldn't come to the table unless it comes to like how you're presenting yourself in your posts. But when it comes to helping an individual, it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with them and what they want. When you go to invite someone, it shouldn't be about how you can help them, like going ahead and predetermining that thought of how I can help them be a better yogi, because I've only ever talked about yoga. But more, okay, well, how do I portray all of these other things and how they're helping me? Because there's so many different people that I attract and that I help, and they don't know that I can help them unless I talk about the fact that this isn't a one size fits all, you know, like they don't have to do what I'm doing. So if that's a fear of mine, I talk about it. And, you know, it could be as simple as just talking about this publicly. Whatever you're scared of, bring it to the table, you know, bring it to the table and have a conversation about it. Bring it to something Amanda taught me in the very beginning was battling my objections publicly, which really just meant any excuse that I thought somebody could give me, I figured out a way to post about it and battle it before it became an objection. So I worked my way through it prior to ever, and you know what the funny thing is the objections never came. The things that I thought people were going to say to me, they never came, really. And when someone does, that's just not your people, because people connect with who you are as a human and what you talk about. So if you don't talk about it and you're only ever showing like yoga poses or yoga videos, then I'm not saying that's what you're doing, but that's just like in general thing. Like if I'm only ever posting HIIT workouts and only ever talking about HIIT workouts and talking about calorie burn and talking about counting my macros and talking about all of those things, then I completely ignore the person who Portion Fix could be for. I completely ignore the person who needs to know, feel comfortable with themselves before they go like, trying to shred out, like look at Daniela Tony. She's someone who is very into health and fitness and very into being very open about being a trainer. She posts about being a trainer. She posts about doing hard workouts. She always is doing a hard workout, but she also picked up yoga recently. And then she talks about, you can ask yourself questions. Go into your stories and do a question. Be like, what questions do you have about what I do? You can ask yourself questions and answer them, because it doesn't show who asked the question. That's what I do all the time. When I feel like, I want to like tell people what it's like to be a coach, but I don't want to do a million stories about what it's like to be a coach. So I ask people questions, and then I ask myself like hundreds of questions about what do I think that they would want to know. And then I highlight it on my feed.
I had a thought for you when we were talking earlier, when you were talking about how like yoga is your center and Beachbody is something that's kind of like that's still there though. You know those like the Japanese pottery that if it's cracked they like pour the gold, like Beachbody is filling in your cracks. So like yoga is your thing, but like Beachbody fills in the cracks, and just coming up with visuals and analogies, people eat the shit out of those. So if you come up with something like that, maybe not that in particular, but like how that really is, yoga is always going to be your thing, but that doesn't mean that Beachbody can't be one of your things too, just like everybody has said, but it's like you don't have to be just a yoga person, and you're able to do other things that strengthen your yoga practice, that strengthen your family, that strengthens your bank account, that strengthens your soul, your community, your connection to people. So I don't know, that just like that image popped into my head, and I had to speak it, because it, for me, like that's what Beachbody did for me too. It like sealed my cracks, like everything that was broken was able to be fixed with the tools that I gathered throughout my years, my 4.5 years with Beachbody. So even now, not being completely active, like this is sealing the cracks of postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression, insane weight gain because of friggin' breastfeeding issues, like all of the cracks. and I'm coming, it's just like find a way to explain that, that really like holds true to your heart. Because if you just share that part of you, the part of your heart, then that people aren't going to say you're not being authentic, and people aren't going to say, well, do you do yoga anymore? Because of course you freaking do. Like that's the thing that you do, but you also do this. So, that's all.
One of the questions you could ask yourself on the thing, or one of the things that you could start talking about, is literally go Google how does strength training improve yoga practice? And then ask yourself that question and answer it, and then talk about it and make an IGTV video about it, and then make posts about it. Like pick a theme of, like if you're not sharing about your yoga right now, or is that what it is? You're not sharing as much about your yoga and people are wondering if you're still doing yoga?
Sort of. I mean, they see me working out every day, and they
Right.
see that I'm teaching every day, but there's
Right.
and they see that I'm at my altar every morning, but they're not seeing the asana, so they're like confused.
Why not just show, you could do, like if you're wanting to keep the yoga incorporated, I mean, the thing is you're going to grow and expand. Like 6 months ago, I was bringing in a lot of the Bangs ambassadors. Like I quit doing it. I just started today, like re-engaging and growing my following again. And I'm already up like 70 people. And I'm like, why did I stop doing this? But because I kept losing people. And it was because a lot of the newer Bang ambassadors were like, they're very religious. And like, even though I'm religious, I use the word fuck. And I know that when I was bringing people in that were part of Bangs at that point, that was like back at the beginning of January when I was like being super woo woo and like, and by woo woo, I mean religious woo woo, but like, you know, I was name dropping God a lot in my posts. And it was just the season that I was in. I was in an exploratory season about how I felt about God and things in my life, because I do believe in God. I believe in all of those things. But I get fixated on something and then I switch depending on like whatever season or flow of movement I'm in my life. And I know that the reason a lot of those people started falling off is because it was like this new Kelly was emerging again. And it was like, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? And so like you're going to lose and gain people and find more people. But if you want to attract people to where you are now, you have to look for those people and engage with them. And you got to go find those people. Pick like a store or something like that and start bringing those people in. Because I started doing the same thing again today and it started working. And I was like, oh, well, apparently you like, because I already dropped the F-bomb once in my stories today. And I know you watched those before you decided to follow me back. So cool. You know, and it's not about staying the same, but more of just do whatever feels good to you. And I honestly believe that if you just stay true to your journey where you are and you're speaking authentically and not trying to paint a picture of the outside of your life, that you will 100% just, there's no way for you to fail. And you're never going to want to quit. As long as you do that, you're never going to want to quit and you're never going to fail, because you're just going to be doing you, and it's going to bring people in as you go. But you have to invite. And that's the reason why Kelly hasn't hit Success Club last month. That's the reason why Kelly don't have no Success Club points on the board right now, because she hasn't been sending out invites. And I got my tracker out today, so I'm going to do it. I'm done now. I missed the whole call. I had to like take over for a second. Sorry.
Thankfully, it's recorded. But yeah, I hope that helps, Pixie. Yes, I love every time I write your name, like a little fairy comes up. Like my favorite thing. Okay, so it's 9 and dinner's ready, so I gotta go. And I'm gonna do a post in the team page. So if you guys want to have continuing discussions or drop questions or whatever, post takeaways, we can do that in the thread. So I'm gonna post that now. And yeah. You want to do a boomy? Okay. Boomski.
Will you please tag me in the boomy? If you post it.
I will.
Whoever posts it. Thanks, because I don't feel like I'm on my phone today.
Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's good. I look crazy. I always look crazy when I do it.
My baby's crying. He said, "Get me out."
He looks happy in the boomerang.
Good.
Okay. A tag.
Bye. Love
Okay.
you.
Bye, guys. Love ya.
Bye. Bye, Leia.